All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Also want to give double honors unto our apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings and salutation unto the elect, as well as the hopeful elect, the Akim out there enduring his truth across the four corners of the earth, teaching and preaching through the spirit of Yahweh, Shem Yahushai, in truth and sincerity, as well as the men and women that follow, and those who might look like the other nations, but are of the nation of Israel on their father's side by blood. And getting into a lesson that something that a brother has sent yesterday, actually something that, man, another brother was speaking on, and going into just, walking, all right. And he had mentioned, the elder had mentioned 1,000 miles, so when the brother had sent this, I'm like, oh, okay. And pretty much going back to a Chinese proverb, which I just screenshotted this out of it. And it says, reading 10,000 books versus 10,000 miles explained. The phrase walking 10,000 miles is symbolic. It doesn't literally mean traveling long distances, but rather stepping out into the world, facing different situations, and learning through direct involvement. When people experience something firsthand, they engage not just their minds, but also their emotions and instincts. This creates a deeper and more lasting understanding. And, just thinking about it, that's why Yahweh Shem Shai has us going through the hell that we're catching, the punishment that he put us through, the slavery, all right, the captivity that we're in, so we can get that experience, okay? So we can have an understanding, and we're going. He told us about it. He wrote it. Let's get that real quick. All right. What is it? It might be 30. I'm sure it's 30. It's Deuteronomy 30:1. Look, it says restoration promised at the top. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on this. All right, Command and plus. There we go. Gotta get them keyboard shortcuts. All right, it says Deuteronomy 30:1. It says, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee. So meaning these things are going to come to you, going to happen to you. The blessing and the curse, right? Which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord Yahweh thy power hath driven thee. Right? So he's telling us we're gonna I don't know if it's in the previous chapter or not. Let me see. I would have to read this chapter to make sure, I'm gonna double check, but I know maybe not. It's at the Covenant of Moab. But going into the curses, of course, Deuteronomy 28, which is 2 chapters, away. He said, all right, well, let's just get that as well. Deuteronomy 28:15, it says, consequences of disobedience. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And then you can definitely read the list of curses, but for time's sake, those are the curses that will happen to us. And it mentions slavery, it mentions not being, prospering, it mentions going into different lands and being separated from our families, and diseases and ailments and illnesses, so on and so forth. All right. So it was already written that it would happen. You know, so that's one thing that we have to understand is we're in these positions because we went off, but it was already written to happen. And that's a huge problem that people have with Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHWASHI. They do what they want, man. You know, ultimately it's Yahweh's program. He runs it how he wants to run it, man. And he runs it through his son. He don't even get up and do much. It's like, yo, I got my son. I'm giving all of the earth into his hands. He has the keys to life and death. You know, he has control over life and death. This is the power that we're dealing with, man. Okay, so what if he wrote the movie like this? All right, just play your part. Play your part, you know. But like it said, these blessings and curses was going to come upon us, man. All right, so us being over in this land and the things that we've been through and the things that we're going to go, it's all just an experience, okay? It's all an experience. And when you get that, check me out. Boom. Shortcut. It says experience, observation as the source of knowledge. All right? Actual observation, an event which has affected one. Experiment, proof, meaning it's been tested. There you go. Trial. And it says trials and tribulations. All right. It says trial, proof, experiment, knowledge gained by repeated trials. Let's look and see what trials is. See if it'll bring it up. We'll just. Did I put? It says an examination before court to determine guilt or innocence of rightness or the cause. Let's see. Trial by arms. To try. Pick out. Cool. What is that? Select from a large quantity. Obtain from a variety of sources. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. Here we go. Yeah, it says act or process of testing, a putting to proof by examination or experiment, etc. Yeah. State of being tried, a being subject to affliction or trouble through experience of something. And that is what we're going through. We are going through a trial run, in a sense, of what not to do when you're the greatest people upon the earth through Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHWASHI. Because if he'll bust our ass, he'll bust anybody's ass. Okay? But this is just a trial run, in a sense. You know, we're trying out what pleases the Heavenly Father and what doesn't pleases the Heavenly Father. We're trying out how we're supposed to be operating, how we can be blessed by keeping the laws opposed to not receiving the consequences by being disobedient. Okay, so going back to experience, now we know what that is. It's a trying out of things, you know, get to prove experiments, knowledge gained by repeated trials. So, and you read the book of Judges, we was in and out of captivity. All right, it's just, this is our final captivity. The book of Judges tell you the captivity was going in. Then we went into bigger captivities. We went into Babylon. We went into Greece. All right, well, I would say we was under the Greeks. Then we was under the Romans. All right. Then, you know, fast forward to the 1600s, we was over here, man. All right. Transatlantic slave trade, which they trying to get rid of. It says experience, enterprising, active, industrious, experi, to try or test, and X meaning out of. So you're trying out, you're testing out something. That's how you go through experience. All right. Now, I want to get this commentary real quick. And I really like the other one, but he started tripping towards the end, you know. But I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it because he had a good point in there. Yeah, David Gusick. And this is going into Romans, the 5th chapter. I'll get the precept first, Salakia. This is Romans chapter 5, verse. I'll start at 1. It says, therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with the Most High through our Lord YAHWASHI Mashiach, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand and rejoice in hope of the glory of the Most High. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also. Right? It says, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. So let's see what just tribulation is real quick. A pressing together, metaphor, oppression, affliction, tribulation, distress, and straits. Right? Remember, we went into trial. All right. And what did it say about the trial? Let's see. I forget exactly what it said. It says act or process of testing, a putting to proof, examination. You go down here, state of being tried, a being subject to affliction or trouble through experience of something. So this is our trial of that affliction, our tribulation. All right. It says, okay, yeah, that's it to that. So going back to it, well, I'll read the next part as well. And then it says Romans 5 and 4. It says, in patience experience, so our tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. Because once you go through something and you realize you can do it and get it done and it's not as bad, then it's like, oh, okay, but you learn what not to do within certain situations. You might deal with a crazy chick and you're like, I'm not going to deal with chicks with long hair and short legs or something. No, but it allows you to set boundaries and limitations and a standard in a sense, when you experience certain things. That's why a lot of women like, I ain't dealing with no man and men, and they treat a man this way and that way based off how the other man treated them this way and that way. And that's why women ain't supposed to be just sleeping with any man and this man and that man and those men. Yeah. So yeah, but experience, you trying things out, you learn from it. All right. So let me see if I can find this. Yep, here it go. It says right here, it says, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, which it used, we can glory in tribulation, literally stresses, because that's the same as afflictions and the straits, because they are the occasion to produce perseverance, aka endurance. It says a runner must be stressed to gain endurance. Sailors must go to sea, soldiers go to battle. For the Christian, aka the Israelite, tribulation is just part of our Israelite life. We should not desire or hope for a tribulation-free Israelite life, especially because the Most High uses tribulation wonderfully in our life. The Most High knows how much tribulation we can take, and he carefully measures the tribulation we face, which that goes into 1 Corinthians 10 and 13, where he don't put more than we can bear, roughly paraphrasing. We have to understand that, but it's to increase us and make us better. All right. That's why he gives us the right amount. He know what to break you. Now if he wants you to be broken, he'll put on more than you can handle, and then you'll be back in the world, or whatever the case is. Right. It says those who are not Christians or Israelites, or in our sense calling themselves Israelites, our people not acknowledging who they are, face tribulation also, as well as the whole world. So if you're going to face it anyway, it's better to face it fighting for BAHASHAM YAHWASHI, if anything. But I wanted to get this part, because you got to go through things. Runners, they gotta go out there and run. They got to build up the endurance. All right. Sailors got to go out to sea. That's what it's saying. You can read books on how to be a sailor, but you're not really going to get a full experience until you get out there. Shoot, you go to your job. You got a job description, but it just tells you what to do, but it doesn't give you, what did it say? That experience, that firsthand experience, as well as some people learn better by being hands-on. All right. Instead of just watching somebody else do it, So we got to understand that. Also going into James, All right, James, the first chapter, 1:22, it says, "But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." Why? Because you can get to a point where you're like, oh, I read this and I know this and I know that, but did you apply it? You know, you got to be a doer of it also, because that's how you get and gain that experience. All right, to work that patience and the hope. All right, unto the glory. Okay. It says, "For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was." So you can see yourself and you can see yourself and see how you want to be. But once reality hits, imagine yourself, you you in the mirror, you hyping yourself up about your first dance, and I'm not gonna be scared, and when she do this, I'm gonna do that, and then you get to the dance and you freeze up. You know what I'm saying? You can read about it, hear about it, see about it, but until you go through that experience. I personally spoke that I would do something. If this happened, I'm gonna do this and do that, and I'm sure we all can attest. And once it happened, I did the opposite. And once I realized it, I'm like, dang, you got to really watch what you say, or you do as you say, rather, It says, "For behold, he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed, in his work." Right? His action. Okay, not just saying what you would do. And that's why you got to walk those thousands of miles. Right? You have to. You can read the books on it, but you got to also walk. Let me see. Where is that? Where is it at? Yeah, okay. Going into Sirach 34:9, it says, "A man that hath traveled knoweth many things, and he that hath much experience will declare wisdom." Because you have that experience. Somebody get the one to argue with you, and you're not trying to argue. Okay, this ain't worth it, and you just don't argue back. In a sense, you're using wisdom based off experiences that you had. Last time you got into an argument, you ended up in jail with an assault charge or something to that effect. So let's de-escalate this situation. Let's use wisdom and de-escalate the situation. It says, "He that hath no experience knoweth little." You don't know much. You ain't tried nothing out. Even if you can, I'm going to bring in the elder brother I, when he first started getting into the gym, and he was just showing me a little stuff, and I was watching some videos and stuff, and I'm seeing motherfuckers do a flying arm bars. And Jake want to jump straight to being there, but I have no experience. I have no experience at all, but I want to go and jump and do a flying arm bar. All right, not at all, man. He that hath no experience knoweth little. Not even caring the reason for it, do it, or what's the situation. I just want to do it because it looked good, and that can happen, man. All right, that can happen. It's a crowd, and you want to be seen, you want to be heard, so you jump in front of the crowd, so to speak, and try to jump into the conversation or jump into whatever's going on so you can be seen or heard, but you can be found as a fool, man. Or you can say something, say something and be found as a fool as well. It says, "But he that hath traveled is full of prudence," right? He got foresight, foreknowledge. He see where he going. I'm not going down that dark alley. Last time I went down a dark alley, I got robbed. It says, "When I traveled, I saw many things, and I understand more than I can express," because he has that experience. "I was oft times in danger of death, yet I was delivered because of these things." Because of what things? His experience, the wisdom he utilized and gained, the prudence he gained, right, from traveling. Okay. Now, that's what we have to do, you know, in this truth. We got to travel. You know, you read in the scriptures, you apply in the scriptures, right? And I utilize it a lot, you know, at work with the supervisor, co-workers, you know, they, man, such and such, this isn't a metal, not many matters. You know, when it comes to supervisors, strive not with a man that's mightier than me, you know, so on and so forth. You know, not saying that I'm perfect, but utilizing the scriptures help you get out of danger. As it said, I was oftentimes in danger of death, yet I was delivered because of these things. So that's what these precepts are for. You know, for us to learn, for us to learn what pleases YAHWASHI, YAHWASHI, man. All right. So I want to get this last precept, which I think it is in chapter. I'm going to go to 37 and 19, or it might be in 19, chapter 19. Yeah, call all about Shemal Shai. I'm just reading up a little bit. Okay, it's Sirach 37 and 19. It says, there is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. Because why? He's been a hypocrite at the end of the day. Man, I know this and know that. He can break down what ashwagandha does and tart cherry juice and this and that, but he's not utilizing it himself. All right. He has no experience in it. He just read about it, what it's good for and what it does, or like a diet. You know, the other day I had looked into an anti-parasitic diet, you know, but I'm not going to know the results or if it worked. I can't go and read up on it and then just, man, this is what you should do. You know what I'm saying? Like the brother here say he don't like fat trainers. It's like, what? Why you ain't doing what you telling me to do in this sense? That brother funny. But that's what it is, you know. And the same it comes to YAHWASHI, YAHWASHI, man. We have a duty that we're supposed to be doing, and we gotta carry it out through experience, you know. There is no talking our way into the kingdom. All right, it come by deed. Oh, there's another precept that came to mind. Shit, where is it at? Is it in 6? Let me see. I'm about to look it up real quick. I think it's in 6. I'm just not finding it. Looking hard enough. Oh, it's in 4. This is Sirach, chapter 4, verse 29. It says, be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. Yeah. You know, do what you say you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? And hey, because you can, like I said, a conversation come about and you got a little knowledge on something, because you want to say something, they give you the floor, you know. And now they like, well, how was it? You know, what was your experience with it? Oh, I ain't tried it yet. It's like, well, dang, what was going on? You know, I mean, you know, this can apply to other things as well, in the sense of saying you're gonna do something and then you ain't holding up your end of the bargain. All right. There was one more that came to mind. And let me see, be not hasty in nighttime. Oh, yeah. Yep. Whoa. I don't even know how I brought up the emojis. Where did that come from? This is 1 Corinthians 9 and 27. You know, says, I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight I, not as one that beat the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. You know, so You'll learn, all right, how to tame yourself in a sense, or keep yourself under your body by experience. You'll realize the more you apply this truth, the better a man of the Lord you'll be. I mean, proof is in the pudding. You do something so much that it becomes second nature, and it becomes you. You become it in a sense, you know. But if you do all of this and you're being a hypocrite with it, all right, you can preach unto others, but you might end up a castaway yourself. There's been many and plenty of people that been cast away through the spirit of YAHWASHI. But they taught people. They had the knowledge. They read the book. But when it came down to walking and getting that experience, they didn't want to walk. I'm gonna ride a bike. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna do it that way. Got to get that experience, man. You got to get your hands dirty. All right. And through the spirit, we've gotten our hands dirty with this captivity. So once we get our kingdom, once the Lord sets us up and we're joint heirs with YAHWASHI, okay. Oh yeah. We're gonna, best believe we're gonna know not to do this again. This is a hell of an experience. It's a hell of a trial right here. We in the hot seat for sure, but the Lord is showing mercy and grace, man, and he's bringing us up out of that. Our punishment is almost fulfilled. And call all y'all by Shemal for that. All right, so Lord willing, you was edified. Lord willing, we allowed to endure to the end. And once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Shalom.